Hi, welcome to the FrAndroid studio. Welcome to Droidcon Paris. Could you tell us who you are?
Yeah, thanks. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Lammertsma. I'm CTO at Pixplicity. We're one of the leading mobile developers in the Netherlands. We have made apps for some big Dutch names, including the Telegraaf. We recently did a really cool app for Mercedes-Benz. We also do other side activities, making digital magazines, and more recently we actually got our hands dirty on actually building a custom Android tablet. So we actually got our hands dirty on some.
That sounds cool.
Yes.
So we also have Julien. Can you say a few words about who you are?
I'm Julien. I'm multiple cap. First one and the main. I'm developer and product manager at Level Up Studio. We are developing beautiful widgets, top 5 pet apps. And I'm also co-creator of Paris Android user group and Toulouse. I'm coming from Toulouse in south of France. Toulouse Android user group, so I have multiple cap.
All right. So you just told us about a custom tablet. Can you share a little more words about that tablet?
Yeah. We had an interesting pilot project. It was a company that sold devices to primary schools. And it was actually a package of tablets that included an access point. And their objective was to help in education of primary school students using applications. And the primary problem that they ran into is because they were actually selling devices, that they couldn't keep the devices up to date through the mechanism they had in place. They didn't actually use Google Play because the applications were sold as part of the package. And another problem that they had is they didn't want the children to become distracted stepping out of the app. So what we actually did is we built upon the Android open source project and we made changes to the operating system to provide a way to actually deploy apps remotely onto the 6,000 different devices throughout the Netherlands.
Okay, so you basically built a ROM for this tablet, and what's the main difficulty doing such a thing?
The primary difficulty is actually dealing with the specific hardware. You actually have to build a ROM for one particular device. So the advantage that we had is we were very closely in contact with the manufacturer. We knew exactly that it was one device that we had to build for. That makes it challenging. I wouldn't think that it would be so easy to do if you had to consider a large array of devices, but it would make it more challenging and probably a lot of fun.
And yeah, who's the manufacturer of that tablet?
I actually don't know. It's a very specific Chinese manufacturer.
And usually, what do you think of such a project?
I think bringing the tablets to the child, it's very difficult, but it's very important. In the future, tablets, phones will be more a part of our life than now. And it's now a big part, but it will be bigger in the future. And I think projects like yours trying to distribute for education, you said?
Yes,
yes. For education is very interesting. In which countries are you distributing your device?
In the Netherlands. This was a pilot project that was specifically for one company, and we're thinking broader than just education. Oftentimes you have a client that for various purposes would like to use a device only to showcase one particular application, whether it's an embedded device into a car or whether it's using just a tablet to expose it as a kiosk in a conference or something like this. So we see the possibilities not just in education. Education is a great example, but there are other directions they can also go.
Is it just a high software system, or it's at all the level of the system? So the other question is it possible to distribute as an independent set of applications?
Yes, actually, I guess your question is, are we actually getting low level into drivers and this sort of thing? No, we're not. The manufacturer actually is taking care of all that. The specific pieces of hardware that they put together is their responsibility. We are really just taking apart the ROM and swapping out system components. So you can think of in terms of the system UI, which is the notification bar and the notification, or what is it, the navigation buttons at the bottom, and an application that we actually added to the open source project is to regularly check for updates to install applications and actually be able to flash an entire new ROM over there onto a device in case of a problem.
In our company, we are very focused on user experience and making new use cases for tablets, for phones. And for you, which use cases are possible with tablets that are not possible with physical equipment?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know that I actually have a good answer for that. I think the current the type of devices that you have, the different sizes and dimensions, really gives a great variety of different possibilities, and we constantly see that people outthink what you could possibly predict that would happen. We often see, for instance, now people using their tablets and phones parallel to each other, as complementing each other, and sometimes in fact while watching a TV, and of course you could consider using Google TV. So all of these things fit all in the scope of Android. So I don't think necessarily that there's it's one or the other. I think they really complement each other in totally different ways.
And so today, what brings you to Droidcon Paris?
I'm actually, to put it bluntly, I'm giving a talk on a very technical talk on building custom components to really to enrich the experience of your application. But I'm also attending some of these bar camp sessions that are going on today, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the English spoken talks tomorrow. So it's to share knowledge and to learn also. I love that also you're from the Paris Android user group. I often attend sessions of the Dutch Android user group. We have some open space meetings and these sorts of things where people just sit down and they exchange ideas and their experiences. And I like that a lot because I think that is part of open source, also sharing your knowledge and your experiences. Yes. So I love to participate in that kind of stuff. That's
cool. So will you attend also, yes, you said already, you're going to attend the session of tomorrow. What do you expect Droidcon Paris to be as an event? How would you like it to be?
I think a real classical kind of conference. I think it already has accomplished that. You see an exhibition hall, you see the different sessions going on, and kind of a casual atmosphere during the bar camps where people can interrupt a speaker and really participate, not just in asking questions, but also interjecting with their own opinions. I think that's great. I think this is a great setup.
Okay.
What we have right
and
now.
Is it the first time you are giving a talk in a Droidcon?
At Droidcon, yes. I just actually flew back from Ankara giving a talk at the Developer Days.
Oh, cool.
And that was fantastic. They also did a great job setting up that conference. So,
yeah.
I went to the Droidcon in the Netherlands recently, and I didn't speak. The style was slightly different. I also hear really good things about Droidcon UK, so it's nice to see that in the different countries around us, also in Germany, that these things are really attracting, Android developers that are really interested in better understanding, and also sharing knowledge. It's great.
And so you guys are both Android developers. Do you feel like Google is helping the community, and if yes, is it maybe too much, or how do you see Google in the developer circle?
For me, it's just as necessary. It's on a lot of discussion I had here because in other communities, there's a big actor helping the community, maybe commercial actor, and Google is a big commercial actor for Android, and they don't want to be really far from the community. They can choose this solution to say the community has to live alone because we don't want to make their decision, make their events, and the other side can say we are Google, we are better than the other, and we can create the community, create the events, do all for you, and they select at the center saying that they are not a good big sponsor, for example, but they give speakers, they give goodies like this one, and they don't want to select the conference for us, but if we want advices about subjects, about speakers, they are here to help us. And for especially the organizers, they decided to just help them by making more exchange between the communities. And for example, in France, we have one organizer summit in Paris per year, and it's very interesting. We are coming from Toulouse, from Nantes, from Lyon, in Paris, for discussing about how our groups are living. And one time by year before Google I/O, there's the same summit with the whole community, and it's so amazing. I talked with African guys, Asian guys, and we talk about their difficulties, our difficulties, and it's more useful to take all the guys in one place than for Google help by group, by money, or by any direction, any constraints. And I think it's a good solution from Google to be helper but not a maker.
Yeah, I think you bring up great points. I absolutely agree. I'd like to expand on two things. One is it's true indeed that the Google is very easy to get in touch with. It's not one-way communication. You can actually get in touch with, Google developers that are on the team where you're experiencing some particular problem, and they're actually there to help, and that's fantastic. I mean, you can actually talk to people and they talk back, and it's a really close-knit community, and you feel like you're actually part of the community. I like that so much. The other thing is, though, in terms of really from a developer's perspective, the tools and SDKs that Google provides, while they're fantastic, I've seen somewhat of a shift in mentality. Some things are going into the Google Play services, which is of course no longer open source. There are justifications, of course, why they do it, for support back to 2.1. However, I get the impression that there's contributing less to open source. You also hear stories from real contributors to that open source platform where their bug fixes and changes and suggestions aren't actually adopted into the releases. So I think there is room for them to improve and keep improving. So there are good things, and there are some points for improvement.
Google I/O 2012 was really the Google I/O of Android. Do you feel like Google I/O 2013 was the Google I/O of Google Play?
Yeah, that's actually true. I hadn't thought of it that way. A lot of cool things came into Google Play, and I was really excited to try it out. And it was nice that the changes that they made were actually immediately available instead of it having a rollout process. So that was cool. Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm not agree because 2012 was amazing regarding the announcement, but for the customers, the two keynotes was just amazing. The jump with glasses, I was in the room, so impressive. But this year the announcements are less interesting, but the conferences, the sessions were
It was more developer focused.
More for developers, and the level was higher.
Okay.
And it was more interesting this year for the sessions.
Other question, I have my personal answer and I will give it to you after. Eclipse or Android Studio?
Oh, that's a sensitive one, because if I say Eclipse, I'm on. Yeah, I think innovation is always great, and it's great to see that Google has seen the problems with Eclipse and seen that they can move on to a better and newer platform. I personally have kind of had a close relationship with Eclipse for the past 8 years, so it's very difficult for me to let go. But the arguments against switching are becoming less and less. I've seen pretty much all of the functionality you could possibly want in Eclipse is in IntelliJ, and of course you get all the extra bonuses that IntelliJ gives over Eclipse. So eventually I predict that Google will phase out their support for Eclipse gradually in favor of IntelliJ. I just hope for my own sake that it's not in the near future.
I think for now there's no question. Android Studio is a beta version, is written in big when you are in the web page for the tool. So for now, Eclipse is the good tool for production. For tests, Android Studio is fun. But in 6 months, I think, when the final release will be available, I think the question and the answer will be more difficult to determine. But I think I will stay on Eclipse at least 1 year, and because in the next year from now, the two solutions will have the same functionalities. The performance will be very different, maybe. But I think when I discussed with Xavier Ducroix, lead tech in tools at Android team, said that Android Studio, they are linked with the development team, and in Eclipse it's a foundation, so when they have requirements for improvements, it's more difficult to have the updates. And so when I talked with him about what kind of service they want to integrate in the developer tools, definitely with Eclipse it's not possible. So I think in 1 year we will have to go to Android Studio, not because they will leave Eclipse, just because the Eclipse version will be less interesting.
Supported. Yeah. Okay. Well, for us, we did the switch actually before Google I/O. It's been a few months since our dev team is working with IntelliJ, and even when I was working with Microsoft technology, I was using ReSharper, which is a plugin for Visual Studio, and it brings the whole IntelliJ things to Visual Studio. So yeah, I'm a pro Android Studio. Sorry, guys. So about the tools, did you attend to the conference about Genymotion this morning? Yes, you did.
Not the conference, but because I know a lot of guys from
Genymotion. Okay, and did you?
I only saw their exhibition stand, and I was taking a look.
So you know what they are publishing today, right?
I believe so. Correct me where it's wrong. It's a interface where you can control different aspects of the emulator, where it's normally sensor based.
It's a little bit more than that, but yes, that's the same tool we are talking about. So it's an emulator based on VirtualBox, and the image of Android is x86 but with some tweaks to make you able to work with ARM APK. So what do you guys think about those kind of tools? Do you feel like we had a problem with the actual emulator?
Yes, I make a lesson in Toulouse in IUT, and my students don't have all their devices, because some of them don't have a smartphone and others have iPhone for the most part. But and they said in English. It's not fair because when we will add the practical exercises, those who will use the emulator will lose a lot of time making the APK running on the emulator, and the other with the phone will
it's instant.
And I didn't have any answer the previous
so now you feel like you have one answer to give,
and now I can say use Genymotion. It will be like a phone. It's running just fine, and you will test your development easy.
Do you develop on your phone or do you use?
Oh, absolutely. For exactly the reason he says, it's the performance. Even though Intel has made great headway into having a hardware accelerated support for the Intel chips, it's just the performance isn't quite there yet. Just booting the device, and of course, if you're not on an Intel chipset, then it doesn't work. So. It would be. I definitely see a future in there. And I was just down there, and they have a tablet-sized resolution. It's huge, and the performance is unbelievable.
Yeah, it seems pretty cool.
I have to be clear. Testing on physical device is mandatory because a lot of bugs are not from the core system, the core Android API, but from the few tweaks from manufacturer, for operators, some. So testing on device is mandatory for production.
Right, and it's not just that. It's also just holding the device. I mean, it might be easy to click on it with the cursor, but your finger is a certain size, and if the button is too small,
it's
to hit,
not the same thing for sure. Okay, all right. Well, guys, I think time is running, and we discussed a lot of very interesting subjects. So I guess it's time to conclude. Usually, I let people finish and say whatever they want to say. So, do you have a few words to share with us?
You want to say something, I believe?
Yes, from parent with the group organizer, Droidcon is amazing because it's the first event from the group, a big event like that, and there's a lot of people. There is a lot of very interesting conference, and so it's so cool for the first one, and I hope the next will be bigger, better, and as you want.
Okay, I just want to congratulate you on this organization because it's fantastic. I mean, the drinks and the food and the organization is just so far it's been fantastic.
I will share with all the team. I'm not because I'm from Toulouse. I don't help a lot. Like I can.
He talks a lot on the mailing lists.
Yeah, I talked a lot on the mailing list. Yes, you're right. Okay.
Okay, all right. Then thank you,
Thank you so
we'll
much.
see you around at the Droidcon Paris.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yeah, sorry. Of course.